The next game we're going to talk about is Spirits of the Rice Paddy.
Designed by Philip duBarry, the artist is Jim Maxwell and Daniel Solis, and it's published by APE Games.
I'm not going to go straight into too much detail on this, but as far as the rules or whatever, but Spirits of the Rice Paddy, you're trying to basically over 7 rounds build, get the most victory points, essentially.
The most rice,
whatever. Victory points. There's a deck of rain cards. Those will come out each round. But the first thing is that you actually get a handful of
spirit cards.
Mm-hmm. You remember how to explain this, Eric?
No, not so much. I can try to give it a go, I guess.
The quick and simple.
Yeah, the quick and simple. There's eight phases in the round. So during the first kind of half of the game, you're going to get these spirit cards and you're going to draft them. I guess you get 4 or maybe 5. I think you discard 1 at the end. So basically they are valued. The first set is valued like 1 through 18. And then, the second set is a higher numbers.
I think it's 1 to 21, or something.
Yeah, and then 22 to 44, something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Basically, these cards are going to, the lower value cards are a little bit weaker, but they're going to allow you to get that precious water first. And the ones that have higher numbers, they're going to be stronger cards. But playing those stronger cards, you're going to get, the water from every season, possibly last, which you need that in order to, make your crops. So after everybody drafts these cards, they will go into, you reveal a card. It's the rain card. It tells you for that round how much rain is going to filter through. And whoever is first player, which is the person that played the smallest numbered spirit card, gets this water. And it kind of trickles down in their system. They go out. The water goes out of their system. It goes to the second player, on to the third and fourth or whatnot. And if there's any left over, it'll go down to the person that's last. After that, you play some spirit cards. And then the first player, like I said, will claim the water.
Does he have a reference up?
Looks like it.
All right, fair enough.
Anyway, so then
this is the first impression. We've only played this one time, so trying to regurgitate these rules after a week or so is...
Yeah. So basically, you're going to get... you have meeples, and you have these tokens that are either cows or chickens.
Something like that.
They're
ducks.
Ducks. So with these, you are going to kind of program what you're going to do for this round. And I forgot exactly how everything goes, but, I think the top ones are... You guys have anything?
That's the ones that... was like removing rocks.
It's removing rocks and stuff like that, or building your patties. Your game board is basically 11 hexes, and you're going to build your patties, rice patties, in a configuration as you want. You can build bigger patties to get more points, but they're harder to kind of get the rain in there and get the pest out there and whatnot. So you're going to do all these actions to either get rid of water, get rid of pest, and then let the water back in to let your plants grow, and then you go to like a harvest phase as well. So after that, you're going to claim any achievements. There's always you start out with like 5 achievements throughout the game that anybody can get throughout the game, I guess. And after that, you can hire more workers and hire more animals. And that's it. You play 7 rounds. You try to get the most rice.
Well, one important thing to mention real quick is that when you play these cards, the spirit cards, the first player is always determined by who's played the lowest card among the ones you've played.
All of them, right.
Right, because if I play a 21 on the first round, you are going last.
Basically, you're right.
The first half of the game, because as you draft new ones, or not as you draft new ones, but you're going to still have your other cards that you drafted, and all of them will be below that because it's like the highest card or whatever among all players. Mm-hmm. And so that can put you into some trouble. So anything else we'll kind of describe while we're explaining whether we liked it or not. But Eric, let's start with you. What did you think of this one?
I'm going to go against you guys. And I actually I liked it quite a bit. I like the mechanic. I think it was pretty unique. I thought it was thematic. Basically, you know,
Thematic. Look,
yes,
look.
You're
If it takes
No.
this much effort, if it takes this much effort to be a rice paddy farmer, I'm done. I'm out.
it's like Agricola. You know, you're gonna have you know, things that happen. It's not easy to farm, so you're gonna have to put some work into it. You're gonna have to like plan ahead. So there's a lot of planning in this game, and you're gonna have to plan. You know, basically, you know, turns ahead of yourself. You know, on round 1, I already know what I'm going to do round 2. I already know what I'm going to do round 3. So
Well, yeah, after you draft the cards, probably.
right, there is a like a event that the rain deck, or not the rain deck, the rain forecast also tells you like it's kind of a event card. It possibly is going to bring out pests,
Or
or
grow
weeds.
or
right.
Possibly bring out pests.
Yeah, it's
It
possible.
It happened. Well, I mean, there's a few rounds it didn't.
No, I know. I just
I'll also say there's in the rule book there's a rando rule, so you take out.
he takes them out. Doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he takes out
I saw that.
the bad cards.
Well, Matt, you want me to go first or you want to go?
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right, so here's what I'm going to say. Mechanically, this game is pretty sound as far as design and the actual stuff that's happening or whatever. I can see people who are really into the style of game really liking this. So whatever I say that's negative against it isn't necessarily bad it doesn't make the game bad, but it's just my opinion because of my play style and stuff like that. One, there is way too much programming going on here for almost non-effect. Like, what I mean by that is you already see what event happens. So before you start programming, you already know what's affected your paddy.
Well, one thing you have to kind of keep in mind is your position and where you can get your water.
I'm going to get to that.
Okay, so
If water does not matter to you at all, because you
well,
have
most
enough
of the time,
water.
it is going to matter. But yeah,
It didn't to me.
you went first a lot.
I went first and second, right. But my point being is, if water isn't going to be the end of, like, if you're not trying to gamble on how much water is going to come to you, which actually that makes my case even better, by the way, because
You didn't have
if
to-
I have to sit there another 45 minutes of planning how much water you're going to use and whether or not it's going to go to Matt and then whether or not it's going to come to me,
Right.
That
and
sucks.
you have to kind of do that as well, depending on your position.
right. So let me finish. That actually just amplifies my
Yeah.
annoyance with it. If you take that out in like the first couple of rounds where you're just trying to figure out how the game operates, even if you know how to play it and you're just trying to figure out what to do, you're basically planning out like what 3, 6, 8 phases of stuff before you can't change anything once you plan those out.
Right.
You're putting guys things on these actions and then all those actions happen. So without anything affecting you, you can literally be your worst enemy.
Oh yeah,
And that's pointless.
if you program wrong, you have to kind of get it all in your head. Like, this is going to happen. I'm going to do this. I'm going to let out my water. I'm going to get rid of the pest. I'm going to put my water back in.
Yeah,
You know, all
and
that
if you
stuff.
kind of mess up an action here and you think, oh, this one's supposed to happen before this, and it doesn't, and you're like, oh man, I totally wasn't thinking the right way. You are literally your own enemy because there's no one else who stopped you from it working properly, other than maybe you just running through it fast.
Right.
And it's just like that's kind of a silly style of game to me because that's too much work for me to.
Which we all kind of messed up a little bit here and there. Since it was our first time, and we, we're lax, so we're like, oh yeah, move that guy back up to do this other action that you wanted to do.
Right. I mean, I guess if you played this multiple times, this would become less and less of a thing.
Right.
But it's so annoying to me because it's like if I play other games and I'm like playing Ticket to Ride or something, just taking something off the top of my head, and I'm like, I want to make it from point A to point Z, right? And then halfway through, Matt's like, oh, I can plow right through the middle of the U.S. And now I'm like, I got to turn around and go to a different route. That's cool because like I'm making actions on the fly. This is like you literally plan out 8 turns in advance and something happens and then you're screwed for the rest of it.
I guess they could have changed it where everybody, you take an action with the meeples or the animals that you have. I would assume that it would have worked out similar, same.
Well, I mean, the only problem with that is like because the water is so important.
That's true. Everybody has. Well, yeah, you're right.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that. Here's the thing, and maybe some people who's played this 1,000 times will be able to tell me different. You're not telling me different if you played this 2 or 3 or 5. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm not going to be able to look at Eric and Matt the two people that go before me and tell how much water is going to get into my thing because I don't really know what you're doing.
You can see that. He's going to obviously remove his water because he needs to next round
and if he doesn't do that?
Which he's probably going to do.
But why would he do that if he knows it's the most simple thing? Like, I mean, if it's very obvious actions, but maybe, you know, if I sit here long enough, I see, why is he applying all his workers to his fence building or whatever it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of actually doing that, what you just said, then you're kind of like, what do I do? I mean, I guess you could see it, but I mean, You're not really supposed to watch what other people are.
No, it doesn't say you are or are not supposed to be, but I would assume not.
I would say no. If you're looking at other players and seeing what they're trying to do with their programming,
right? But beforehand,
I think that's cheating.
You do know, where they sit and what they're gonna do with their water, probably.
Yeah, you're talking just based off before they move any pieces, and I look at the status of their board.
Right.
But then again, I mean, maybe they here's the thing: they could build a new paddy. Mm-hmm. And fill in 3 spaces of water.
Oh, yeah, definitely they could.
But maybe they could spin those guys instead or whatever to get rid of animals or whatever, or the rocks and stuff.
Right.
Or weeds or whatever. So you don't know exactly, you can't look at the board and tell exactly how much water you're going to get. You have to gamble. And I guess that maybe amplifies the reason you want to go first or closer to first. But at the same time, I'm not saying it doesn't work. Because obviously it works. A lot of people like this game. It's just not a game for me because of how much programming it happens at one time.
Quite a bit, yeah.
And a lot of it can be messed up by your own self.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I like that. What about you, Matt?
Well, I mean, if you make a mistake, any game, if you make a mistake, it's probably going to affect you, but
it'll affect you for one turn and you try to turn it around next turn. This is a lot.
Well, actually, something I wrote down, there is no coming back from this game. If you make a mistake, it's going to be kind of detrimental to you. Like you said, we were kind of nice letting people take back, but it could hurt.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It could hurt if you thought water was going to come in. I can speak. I was usually last most of the time. Mm-hmm. Water wasn't a big deal, but there were times that it didn't get to me. And you are talking about looking at others' player boards. Ain't nobody got time for that. I've already got 20 turns. I've got to plan out myself. I can't. Yeah. I cannot worry about what Tim and Eric are going to do to ensure that I have water get to me. It happened a few times where I didn't get it. I guess that's just, bad thing going last. But it does have drafting in it that's minute, but I'm not going to say I like the game just because it has drafting. And when the board first came out, it's got all these like inlaid areas for you to put your stuff, which I talk about Takenoko a lot. It's very annoying to have these little wooden pieces that constantly get knocked around. They're supposed to signify water. These are inlaid. They can kind of lay them in there, so it's a little bit nicer on that.
Yeah, the boards were really nice. Oh, the components were nice.
Yeah,
the little weed, tokens and the.
You brought the board out. I got stoked, and then I played it, and it was
good.
No, it's not awful. Maybe it's just not a game that I care for. Kind of like Tim. Maybe it's just not my style.
It may also not be a 4-player game for us.
Maybe
because maybe playing it 3 or even 2 might make it that much better. Because with 2, I think it would be way more competitive.
I can see that.
And I'm interested. Why was it the Rado rule? Why did he choose to do that? Do you know?
He just made it. I guess a lot of people or some people wouldn't like the punishing aspect of the game where. So
that's like 90% of the game is
punishment. I was going to say, because the game is very punishing.
Yeah,
so.
Because you have a plan, and you've planned to do this, like I said, sometimes 2 or 3 turns in advance, but a card comes out, and it puts weeds in all, your field. So now you have to drain the field and get the weed out, or if you harvest it, you get
play the cards I had.
Yeah, or you got a lot less points for it, so... He took out, a lot, or I think maybe all of the. There's some spirit cards that throw out weeds in other people's fields, and then there's event cards.
I would almost be okay with the spirits because it's kind of like it might happen to you twice through the game, or something happens to you, but it just on them event decks. Maybe if they give you some foresight to see that.
Yeah, there's no. There's one spirit card I think that gave us foresight into what was coming next, but.
Because then you could almost, because there is a way that you can just let your paddy get overrun and just scrap it.
Right.
If I could foresee that, man, something else is going to happen, I might as well just let that one go.
Or even if you can see the next, like, okay, so if you take the deck of rain cards and you take 2 of them and put them face up, but before you pick that one for the next round, you shuffle those 2. So, like, you got an idea what possibility could be between 2 cards, but you're not 100%.
Randomness.
It's still random, yeah, because one might have no event and the other one might be like grow 2 grass and all your patties.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, well, if that happens, I really need to like hold this back or something. I don't know.
Oh, and something we also talked about was that I kind of consider them initiative cards with the numbers.
Yeah.
That some of the rewards, especially like the instant ones, they tended to have the higher numbers, and I don't know that really balanced out with the people that were getting a constant.
Dude, I think the passives destroyed almost all of the instant ones.
Yeah, and the instant
First
ones,
play, but
like I said, they tended to have a higher initiative on it. That didn't really make sense, but what do I know?
Yeah, I don't. Here's the thing. I've said this to you before, Eric. Games like this game is punishing. It rewards the player who it wasn't really that they played the best. It's just that they didn't make as many mistakes, or they they didn't make any many programming mistakes or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't see that as going to be a common problem where you make a lot of mistakes in the game.
Well, yeah, on multiple plays, but my thing is I've got too many games to play to worry about playing one that I didn't like on the first playthrough and trying to make myself like it.
Yeah.
Like, I just saying, like, I'd rather play a game where I didn't play my best rather than play a game where it's like I made too many mistakes. And I know the outcome is like the same. It's just the feeling you get when you're playing something. I'd rather play a game where it's like, man, like a Stefan Feld game where you're like, oh, I'm getting points for this, I'm getting points for this, I'm doing really well, well, I didn't get as many points as I thought I was getting.
It's definitely not a Stefan Feld game because you can definitely, go rounds where you're not making any points.
I'm disagreeing. What I'm saying is, in a Stefan Feld game, everything you do
Gives
rewards
you.
you.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was agreeing with you there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So definitely is not that type of game.
Oh, you said it's not. I gotcha. Yeah, it's not rewarding you. This is punishing you and seeing who like basically came through the least punished. It's like I feel beaten down as I play this game. I don't like that feeling, and so therefore I probably won't like this game no matter how many times I play it. Mm-hmm. But I do agree that it's really well designed, and the outcome of it's really well.
I wonder if you would like it better with the rondo rule in there.
Maybe, I don't know. No, because my biggest problem is I don't see the point in programming so many turns ahead of time when it literally is like 90% of my mistakes that I'm trying to avoid. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like if you played this game 2 players, I got an idea of how much water could come, so it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, even Matt said the water wasn't that big of a deal most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Also, we got cards that gave us a lot of water in the beginning, I think, because you can get 7 water or you can get like 3 or 4 water, so there's a variation in the amount that you would get round to round. Yeah.
Well, either way, I mean, I'm going to try this game again. I would probably like to try it less than 4 players, maybe a lower player count.
We could try it again tomorrow.
Well, maybe, but I don't know. I don't see myself. I mean, it would take probably 3 or 4 times before I know 100% that I'm just like I'm done with this. Mm-hmm. But I'm not. I never want to play a game once, hate it, never play it again.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair.
Right.
But I just think that the style and the feeling I get from playing the game, I don't like being punished that much. Mm-hmm. I just like being rewarded less. Which is probably why I like points salad games a lot. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have. Matt?
No, I said my piece.
Yeah.
Eric likes it.
I liked it. I probably
it's a unique
won't.
Theme.
Yeah, it is a unique theme, and it is unique where you are basically water is your resource, and you can make it flow through how you want, hoard it a little bit if you need to. So I liked it.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
the water flow.
Since you guys don't like it, I'm not sure if I'll keep my copy, but
no, keep it long enough for us to play it again, or maybe a 3rd time.
Okay.
And then at that point, you'll know for sure.
Yeah.
Which side of the fence again. Everyone's on.
All right.
Because it could be, I think, a 2-player game. Did you even see what it was best with? Do you have that up still?
I can get to it real quick.
I'm sure they're probably going to say best with 3.
Because I think it's only up to 4.
There it is. Best
max.
with 3 to 4.
3 to
Best
4.
with 3 to 4. Wow. Okay. So maybe, I guess 2 players might eliminate the water problem and make it too easy if you've played it multiple times.
It does change the water depending on the player count anyway.
True, but what I'm saying is now you only have to know, you know exactly how much water that one person's getting, and you kind of
Right.
got an idea what they could do.
You don't necessarily have to see it trickle down 4 different, 3 other players.
Right, so maybe that's why they like the 3 to 4 player, because it emphasizes probably the drafting a lot heavier, because you want to draft the right cards, try to always go as close to first as possible, then bust out the high cards last. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to try it again. I'm not saying that I hated the game's design or anything. I think it's a phenomenal game. It's just feeling-wise, I was...
It was a lot to keep track of, too. I kind of went on our playthrough, I kind of narrated stuff, and I was like, all right, everybody, you can let your water out. All right, we're doing this phase. All right, we're going to let the water back in.
Yeah,
So-
all right, so I need to confirm this. I did come in first.
Yes.
So this is coming from somebody who won the game. It's not like I came in last and I was like, this game was garbage, blah, blah, blah. And I did pretty well.
Yeah, you got some nice spirit cards there.
Yeah, I got some really nice spirit cards. I basically had to ignore half the problems in the game, which are
Right.
probably more powerful for new players,
Yeah.
but probably less powerful for people who are really efficient. So, either way.
Yeah.
But we'll try it again, or at least I will. I don't know about Matt if he wants to or not. But,
If it's out, I'll play it. Sure.
all right, cool.
I liked it.
Fair enough. We'll let you know again in the future how it goes. That is Spirits of the Rice Paddy.